Hey everybody, this is a first for me. I am the proud owner of a Proyama brush cutter, and the Proyama company, I guess, somehow found me and asked if I'd be interested in testing a new product they have, a power washer. And so I was not excited about doing an unboxing video, but I thought, what the heck, why not give it a try? So you guys can tell me if I did a reasonable job. I'm trying to be honest through the whole event. But I also want you to know ahead of time that Proyama said that they would be happy to refund me for the cost of the Proyama power washer if I made the unboxing video. So I am being compensated in some fashion. So anyway, again, you'll be the judge of whether I did the job fairly. I'm grateful for the assistance. One of my sons is helping me with the whole video process. Again, new to me, so would appreciate your comments. I don't expect to be doing more of these, but again, if you guys like it, who knows? So thank you again for watching, and if you have any questions, please put them in the comments.
Hey everybody, my name is Rick and we're doing an unboxing video for the Proyama PPW3500. 3500 stands for the pressure of this unit, 3500 PSI, which was the main attraction for the unit for me. So I picked this up at Amazon for $299, which I thought, given the price point and the pressure, was an amazing deal. So that's what I'm going to be doing today in my selection. I wanted you to meet the incumbent, which is the Troy-Bilt with a Briggs & Stratton engine. This has been our power washer for the last 8 years. And as you'll see from the images that we're going to be posting, you'll see that's really, we've taken through its paces. We've washed flagstone and concrete pavers and gutters and exterior walls, all kinds of things. It's done a fantastic job, honestly, and you can see from the dirt that it's actually worked hard. But the downside is sometimes we've had to really baby the unit, or we've had to really sit down there with a nozzle on the tip to get it to accomplish the work we've needed for it. And so I was looking to upgrade with a little more pressure, or actually in this case a lot more pressure, about 60% more pressure. And so I'd like to just take this one through its paces and see if it's time for an upgrade. So I'm going to be doing a couple of things. One, we'll do the unboxing, and then we'll do a little comparison side by side, and then we'll just take the power washer through its paces and see if this is something we're going to migrate to. So I'm just right now going to cut the straps and open this guy up. I will observe I've purchased heavy equipment in the past, and the box has come damaged, or the equipment inside has become damaged. Not so in this case, at least from the exterior. The packaging seems to be very good. FedEx did their job of delivering it. So I'm just going to take everything out of the box quickly and then walk through each of the pieces in time. Okay, I'm going to take a short time out to read through this information first so I don't waste your time reading, and then I'll come back and give you a description of what I'm finding in the unboxing video. But so far, I like what I see. I do see the big wheels right off the bat. That seems a real upgrade from my current system. So I'll be back in just a moment. Well, you may notice that I've changed clothes. The reason is, as I went off to look at the literature, as I mentioned at the break, and I went through the literature to make sure that it all made sense. I'm an engineer by education and by training, and so I'm kind of meticulous about the facts. And so when I went through it, there were things that were confusing to me, or it seems like in some cases the images didn't match the product. And so I was going to give this low marks for literature, even before I've played with the product at all. So I reached out to customer support, and instantly they just were immediately on top of it, and they said, we will correct this and we will get new instructions to you in the next couple of days. Well, within 12 hours, I had entirely new instructions sent to me via email, and I was impressed. What started out as a negative, where the documentation was unclear or incorrect, ended up being a positive to demonstrate how much Proyama wants to be in the American market. So I was really pleased that they were so instantly responsive to my query and criticism of the product. So anyway, let's move on now to the components that are in the box. There aren't a lot of them aside from the major component of the pump itself, but we have the nozzle holder, which actually I'm going to give you a couple of pointers that were important to me. One of the things that I hated about my past product, the Troy-Bilt, was that these nozzles would, as the machine vibrates, of course, they would just shake and fall out. And I've lost a whole bunch of nozzles with my Troy-Bilt. In fact, I bought a whole new set of nozzles and lost several of those. In this case, these are very snug. And instead of just being a plastic housing, there's a rubber bushing on the inside, so it really snugly holds these pieces in place. So I think that from where I stood before, that's a significant improvement. It looks like these handles also are foldable, so instead of just having a high profile, I can just fold this down into a very small compact passage. This, of course, is the wand of the spray gun. Has an unusual feature, which I can't quite figure out, but I guess you can lock it so that it can't be fired by accident. But otherwise, you would just take it out and be able to use it as expected. The extension, of course, looks at high quality brass, stainless steel. This is the gun holder, will be attached in a moment. Instead of just a paper funnel, which I've seen some other power washers, they provide a real live funnel to apply oil into the engine, some miscellaneous pieces. This is another one, which I think, to me anyway, is a big deal. On the Troy-Bilt, I don't know if you saw in the previous images, I just have that hose winding all over the place because it seemed to be a bit of a bear and there was really no good place to put it. So I just wound it around and just let it drape all over the power washer. This actually is a small hook to hold the hose. So I thought that was a significant improvement for me. Your mileage may vary. Here's the hose. This is a spark plug wrench. And I'm not sure I would ever use this, but it looks to be a cover to put over the power washer to protect it from I don't know what. So those are the base component parts. What I'd like to do now is take a few minutes and just assemble this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a clock and let that go so we can go through this in fast motion. You don't need to watch me in normal speed. But I'll assemble it in front of you, and then you'll be able to see how long it takes for this thing to get assembled. Hopefully, it'll be just a very little bit of time. One more item. I would wish they would have said something in the instructions, which tools you'll need. I always find that helpful when you're building something. What are the tools you'll need? And apparently, in this case, all I need is a couple of wrenches. But again, it would have been instructive to have that information in the manual. So let's take a quick break, and then I'll come back and do the assembly. So I'm going to go ahead and start a clock. Not sure if you can see that, but I'm going to start the clock and assemble it, and we'll see how long it takes. Start it now. Just over 5 minutes, 5 minutes and 10 seconds, which seems to me eminently reasonable to assemble something like this. Next step is we need to put in some engine oil, and there's a dipstick right down here. Here's a very small amount of oil already in the pump. But again, it was shipped without. So let me go grab some 1030 motor oil. The instructions say that 10W30 was included in the package. I didn't see any. So slight minus marks on that account. And we have to fill it so the oil is barely up to the threads. I don't really like this part in that it isn't exactly clear how much oil to put in. You almost have to do it by trial and error and just keep viewing it. I don't want a big mess. It would have been a real value add if they had sent a pre-measured amount and just said, pour this amount in. Well, that took way too long. So, recommendation to Proyama. You might want to just send a pre-measured amount of oil in a bottle and just say, empty this in, check it with a dipstick, just to make sure it's the right amount of oil. But the guessing and not knowing how much oil to put in is, I think, a detractor in my humble opinion. Well, now we'll want to take this through its paces. We'll fuel it up and do some side-by-side testing with the Troy-Bilt. And let's just see what this guy will do. I mean, the paperwork and the assembly is a one-time thing. So the real proof of the pudding is going to be whether this thing will perform and put out some real pressure and really do a great job of cleaning, which is exactly why I got the device. So let's take a break. We'll go outside and we'll try it out. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and fuel up the power washer and add some cleaning solution, since it has a reservoir, another nice add that I don't have on the Troy-Bilt. And then we can fire it up and get started. So it has a pretty healthy gas tank. Don't need to fill it all the way up, I guess. We'll give it a good drink. We'll add the soap solution, courtesy of Home Depot. Looks like I spilled a little bit. Well, what do you think? Moment of truth? Should we just see what we can do about getting it started? Make sure this is on. And we have to turn on the fuel. Where was that again? I should pay more attention to the instructions. Oh, here's the joke. Joke is fuel is on. Start over here. Get some fuel in the carburetor. All right, let's see if it'll start. Wish me luck. Wow. First try. Who knew? Of course, we shouldn't be running it without water, so I just wanted to see if it would fire up on first attempt, and it did, so that's good news. Let me go hook it up with some water, and we'll carry on. So here's a side-by-side comparison of the Troy-Bilt, the old tried and true Troy-Bilt, and then the new Proyama unit. I was, again, just fired up the two of them side by side. I noticed when I first used the Proyama, you may have seen this thing really pushed back, a lot more volume of water and at a higher pressure. Not sure you can see the difference in looking at the two streams, but you can definitely feel it when you power it up. You may be able to see that the volume of water is much greater and coming out at higher pressure. This is not a very effective test, but I thought there was a dirty piece of lumber in the lower backyard that I thought I would try side by side. And as I got closer with the Proyama, it started shredding the wood, even though it had a 25-degree nozzle on it. It had the same nozzle on the Troy-Bilt, and even though I was right on the wood, it wouldn't peel it. So you can see again on the right side, it really, even with the 25-degree, it's shredding the wood. But I thought, well, let's just try and shred it. So I put a 0-degree tip on both units, and you can see, if you get right on it with the Troy-Bilt, you can get a little bit of dig, but even at distance, the Proyama was just ripping up the wood big time. Well, next, just because it's near Halloween anyway, in October, I thought I would grab a couple of pumpkins, and at some distance, I was trying to see if I could penetrate the skin. I had to get really close for the Troy-Bilt to actually pierce the skin, and at a distance, the Proyama was able to cut it with ease. You can just see it's like water jet just peeling right through the pumpkin. So destroyed my artwork. But anyway, that was just, again, a fun experiment to demonstrate the power of the Proyama. Here, we thought, let's just try cleaning an engine which had 100,000 miles of grime and dirt, and do like to power wash them from time to time. So what I did in this case, I got a what's called a foam cannon. Just make sure if you pick up a unit like that with the Proyama, because if it's high pressure, you have to find a foam cannon that actually will satisfy that pressure. Not all can handle that pressure. So this one, we just let the foam sit for a few minutes and then just washed it off with a 40-degree nozzle and came out really clean. Did a nice job. Left the engine running the whole time, so we didn't have any condensation in the wrong places. But yeah, I thought that they did a really fine job on the cleanup. So as I wrap up the day and wrap up this review, let me first thank you for watching. I'd like to also thank my son Philip, who was instrumental in videotaping my first unboxing video ever. And let me just give you the pros and cons in my estimation of the tool. I'll start with the pros. First, it's nice to have a soap dispenser, which I've never had in the past. I like that it has a 4-stroke engine, so I don't have to worry about mixing oil as I often do with my chainsaws. I like that the engine started the first time and repeatedly. Every time I ever tried to start it, there were multiple times I'd start it and move it to different places. Every time I've ever tried to start the unit, it has started instantly, so I'm pleased about that. I'm pleased that I finally have a place to store the hose. Some of these things seem like they're minor items, but they're a big deal to me because it just shows a deficiency I've had in the power washer I've had for the last 8 years. I like that the nozzles are embedded in a rubber grommet so that they won't ever pop loose. They don't show any signs of being released. And last pro, which is the obvious one, is just the incredible power. It's wood shredding, paint peeling power. It was interesting when I first fired it up and took my first shot with a wand, I felt recoil, and that was again very satisfying. And I thought, oh, this really does have some juice. On the cons, there are some things that I would like to see improved, and maybe in a future iteration they'll do it. And certainly other manufacturers may have some improvement on this. First one would be the wand. It's sitting in a holder, which seems satisfying, but I just don't like that the nozzle just kind of hanging out in space. I wish there was somewhere that I could, like a sheath, that I could hold it as longer, or I could place where I could park the tip. Just I'm afraid of walking it around and catching it on something and just peeling the wand off or breaking something. Secondly, I don't like that I can't turn off the soap. It just seems like it would add 50 cents to the cost to put a little valve
that would allow it to just say, okay, let me turn off the soap so that I can just run pure water and not have to worry about emptying the soap dispenser and running water through it to clean out the nozzle. The third con would be, as you may recall, when I was filling it with oil, I wasn't exactly sure how much oil to put in. So it took me longer, I think, to fill it with oil than it did to assemble the whole unit. So getting some hint from the manufacturer, or even better yet, a pre-measured amount, send me a little vial, a little pint of some amount of oil, and saying pour this in, or this, minus 1 ounce or something, so I know how much to put in would have been helpful, rather than, and this sounds like I'm being a bit of a whiner, but I'm just saying, if you would like to improve the experience, there's one way to improve it. And the last one is, it was interesting reading through the documentation that I'm not to leave the engine running for more than 2 minutes without actually spraying. That seemed unusual to me. They're saying that the water superheats, and maybe that's because of the high pressures in the pump system, but in the event that I don't spray the wand for more than 2 minutes, I should power off the unit. And that seems unfortunate. It seems like, again, I don't know how they design these, but it would be desirable to allow it to run for 10-15 minutes. Something may happen, you have an emergency phone call, you run off and leave the engine running. 2 minutes seems an unusually short amount of time to leave the unit running. So all in all, I'd say I was impressed with the unit. I'm happy to have it. I intend to keep it. I would give it probably 4.5 out of 5 stars overall. Certainly room for improvement to give it that full 5 stars, but again, the power was the thing that was really compelling to me, and it seems like I can't imagine a task that it wouldn't tackle if I brought it out for that purpose. So again, thank you for watching. I hope you found this informative. If you have any comments, I'd be very happy to hear from you. And again, be well.